The management of the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital vows to investigate an alleged doctor's assault on a patient at the Ndemban Health Center. Growing economic challenges in South Africa expected to continue in the fourth quarter of 2023. And the United Nations expressed concern over the increasing violence in the eastern DR Congo. Well, this and more coming your way on The World Today. Hello, this is Eyeafrica TV and you are watching the World Today News Bulletin coming to you live from our studios in Banjul. Many thanks for joining us. I am Amadou Kante and now the news in detail. Now, a recent video circulating on social media showing a doctor physically assaulting a patient at Ndemban Health Center in Bakau has triggered wide condemnation. Now, the public have since expressed concern about patients' care in local hospitals and the professionalism of health workers in the country. Now, the public relations officer at the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital on Tuesday confirmed to Eyeafrica TV that the management have seen the video and the matter is under investigation by a panel constituted by the hospital. Moses Imendi has more details of that in this report.
Ndemban Clinic is in the center of public attention since a video that caught a doctor physically assaulting a patient at the hospital emerged on social media. The spotlight quickly fixated on the health clinic, with many condemning the antics of the doctor, as well as expressing concerns about professionalism and caring of patients in the hospitals. In the video, the doctor was seen punching the patient multiple times. Unverified reports suggested that the doctor was enraged and got aggressive after the patient shouted insults at him for a lack of urgent medical attention. In a press statement, the management of the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital described the incident as inappropriate, unethical, and unprofessional, and promised to investigate the circumstances surrounding the incident. Meanwhile, the PRO of the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital, Jalimorin Jai, told Eyeafrica TV that the management of the hospital have opened an investigation into the incident.
Yes, we have seen the video. It's going viral. We know about it. We got the information earlier than this week. So what we do, we constitute a panel that is investigating the issue at the moment. So that is, the investigation is ongoing. We will rightly inform the general public of any outcome of that particular investigation.
Mr. Njai also explains the management's concerns on the assault meted against the patient.
Yeah, the admin is very serious about it. I mean, yes, we are really serious about it. That's why we are investigating it. Yes, if we are not serious, we will not mind it. But we are investigating it. So as far as the investigation is ongoing, we cannot give out any information or whatever.
Responding on possible penalties the doctor could face if found culpable, this is what he had to say.
There are laid down rules that one has to be followed. So when if he is culpable, then we apply the appropriate measures against whatever he has done.
The Gambia's health sector is largely associated with incompetence by many, and such notions grew even deeper when up to 70 children died from acute kidney injury after consuming an India-made paracetamol cough syrup last year. Public health facilities are often devoid of drugs, while nurses and doctors are accused of negligence and unprofessionalism on various occasions in the country. The recent assault on a patient at Ndemban Clinic may further dent the image of a health sector that is already struggling to get back into the good books of Gambians and to regain its trust. For Eyeafrica News, I am Moses Imendi.
And from the report by Moses Imendi, moving on, the prevailing economic hardship in South Africa is expected to continue into the new year due to the increase in prices of food commodities and high inflation. Now, the country's economic slow recovery also remains a concern in some quarters, thus forcing consumers to pay more for their needs. South Africa, like many countries around the world, have been battling against the global economic crisis instigated by the pandemic and the recent Ukrainian war. Let's have more details of that in this report.
Consumers were faced with high food inflation at 12.8%, electricity at 8.3%, and 25.3% for fuel. 2023 doesn't look any better. Meat prices remain high.
From February and March, we can expect a moderation in food price inflation. Will it come down to the levels where it was in this time last year, or even January, just before the Russian-Ukraine conflict? I doubt if that will be the case. It's always difficult to go back to those kind of prices due to the inflation effect.
On a broader scale, although the latest gross domestic product data surprised on the upside, it was externally driven. Consumers should be concerned about growth figures, analysts say.
Worryingly, those continue to look like very low single-digit economic growth figures, 1.5%, maybe a little better if we get some tailwinds. All of that said, that is broadly in line with population growth, which means South Africa remains locked in this malaise of a per capita income recession that has been in place since 2010.
Vegetable prices are also highly volatile due to supply chain problems and will affect consumers' pockets.
Production conditions is positive, both for our grain industry and also for our vegetable industry. So I think we can definitely expect a moderation in prices as well on the vegetable side.
There are other concerns on a global level.
The real driver of South Africa's economic recovery has been commodity prices and the export orientation of the economy through those commodity prices. Global recession with slowing down in China could take all of that off the table.
Consumers have adapted to the skyrocketing food prices and high inflation.
We've decided to, rather than buy meals that you could pretty much eat that night, we'd actually buy like something that you could split over 2 or 3 days. So particularly in winter, we make a lot of soup. The veggies are actually very cheap.
The re-election of Cyril Ramaphosa is seen by some analysts as a second chance for the governing party to get the country back on track. South Africa's economic growth is elusive at the moment, and that's going to need some policy interventions quite soon.
And back to matters here in the country. Now, Islamic Arabic Study, a nursery school in Ibo Town, in collaboration with Darul Marif Relief Foundation on Sunday, donated detergent items and some cars mounting to $20,000 to the pediatric ward at the Edward Francis Sumol Teaching Hospital in Banjul. The foundation's support comes at the beginning of every year with a view to enhance treatment facilities to enable them effectively discharge their children. Now, Yahya Jammeh has the details in this report.
This latest support to children's ward at the country's main referral hospital is geared towards helping the sick with materials needed as they seek medical treatment at the hospital. Every individual at some point in their lives experience some type of hardship or pain that hurts them. It is therefore important to support one another in terms of need selflessly. It is against this backdrop that Darul Marif Relief Foundation visited the children's ward at the hospital in Banjul to provide them with monetary and material support. The foundation collaborated with Arabic students at the Islamic Arabic Study Nursery School of Ibo Town to make the gesture more appealing as they were on a mission to support their fellows at the hospital and to pray for their well-being and fast recovery. It is widely believed, as narrated by Islamic scholars, that visiting the sick for the sake of Allah is a believed act of worship. This latest move, according to Omar Saho, the public relations officer of the Charity Foundation, is derived from a hadith by Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that one should look out for the needy.
He is the one who will tell us in a hadith, عُدُوا الْمَرِيدَ وَأَمْسُوا مَعَ الْجَنَازَةَ يُذَكِّرُكُمْ الْآخِرَةَ. The Prophet says that when a person dies as a Muslim, your fellow Muslim brother, person that you have to convey the body to the graveyards, and also try to be visiting those who are sick. So it is very important that we remind you what we call the hereafter. So it is very important as a Muslim also to try to share what you have with your, as small as it is, to share it among your the needies also. So the Prophet also always teaches us, and he will continue teaches us. So we're supposed to practice to be donors for those who are needy.
The items donated, which worth over $50,000, include soap, washing powder, sugar, and others. Ustaz Omar Saho, one of the founding members of Darul Marif Relief Foundation, explains the significance of supporting children, especially when they are in need, noting that they are the future leaders in our society.
The Prophet ﷺ said, if you have something to eat by only you can share with your fellows. That is why we are doing this gesture. No matter how small we have, we deem it necessary to share it. You see, these children standing here are future ministers and directors, and this should be a manifestation they should consider when they are in such positions tomorrow, by showing empathy and care to their fellow human beings, because showing empathy and care to each other is a teaching of the Prophet ﷺ.
Darul Marif Relief Foundation was established in 1983, a center where children enroll to learn the Quran. Meanwhile, the foundation also organizes the event at this point of the year with the aim of preventing the kids of attending end-of-year parties and its related activities, but instead they were taken to the hospital to their fellows and pray for their speedy recovery. The foundation does not only focus on its annual charity activities, but also engage in borehole digging for some communities and Arabic schools in different parts of the country. Reporting for Eyeafrica News, I am Yahya Jammeh.
Now, in other news, several supporting programs in Afghanistan have been temporarily stopped owing a lack of female staff at a time when more than 28 million people in Afghanistan need assistance to survive the brutal winter, economic collapse, and others. Now, the Taliban on December 24 banned all local and foreign non-governmental organizations from employing Afghan women. The order came from the Taliban's economy minister, who said any NGO not compliant with the audit or the ADIC will have its license revoked. Let's have more details of that in this report by Yahya Jammeh.
The Taliban rulers recently ordered international national non-governmental organizations to suspend Afghan female staff for allegedly not observing Islamic hijab and breaching mandatory gender segregation at work. The ban has prompted the United Nations to temporarily halt some time-critical programs, and several of the largest foreign NGOs in Afghanistan have also suspended their operations, observing that they cannot reach the millions of children, women, and men in need of assistance without female staff. According to the UN Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator, more than 28 million people in Afghanistan need aid. In a recent media update, the United Nations Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator for Afghanistan, Remis, said that women's issues should be handled by their fellow women who need each other to convey their needs.
When, for instance, a team is going to do an assessment for the needs in a village, it needs to include both men and women, because there are men and women in the society. And as we approach a conservative society, religious society, you obviously need women to speak to the women to understand what are their particular needs, be it related to nutrition, be it related to health services, water and sanitation or hygiene. So then women are not able to participate in such an assessment. You cannot then conclude a comprehensive program, and then your ability to launch a new program is significantly handicapped.
Ramis also indicates that it is not possible to deliver a comprehensive humanitarian action without the participation of women.
Humanitarian needs of the people are absolutely enormous, and it's important that we continue to stay and deliver. As we do so, it's equally important that the rights of women and girls, of which we are so much talking these days, are absolutely preserved and protected, and they are an important element, undeniable element of the humanitarian action. We do not believe that it is possible to deliver a comprehensive humanitarian action without participation of women, and that's why the statement was issued. That's why we are actively working with interlocutors on the ground to find solution to this current situation, and that we are engaging with the authorities.
Commenting on the Taliban leadership, Mr. Ramis noted the best way of coming to the solution is not pressure but dialogue.
The best way of coming a solution is not a pressure, is a dialogue. This movement have not responded well to the pressure in the past, and this is from what the experiences I have. I also must say that in several instances when we had negotiations, we were able to make progress. So what I will be focusing on and what my team will be focusing on is on dialogue and on getting this issue resolved. And that is my priority.
The international community has not yet formally recognized the Taliban administration, mainly over human rights concerns and the treatment of women. The latest directive also risks pushing more families to flee across the borders as refugees. Reports indicate that women NGO workers across Afghanistan's 34 provinces have been at the forefront of efforts to find solutions for Afghans affected by 4 decades of conflict and persecution, including millions of refugees and internally displaced people. Reporting for Eyeafrica News, I am Yahya Jammeh.
And you are watching the World Today News Bulletin on Eyeafrica TV, coming to you live from our studios in Banjul. And from the report there by Yahya Jammeh, we now take a break and come back shortly.
South Africa Global is the first and biggest private estate developer in the Gambia and presence in 7 other African countries. We take pride in leading innovation in all spheres of real estate sector in the Gambia and beyond. As such, we are launching the development of the first smart and modern office and retail towers in the Gambia called Taft Twins. The Taft Twins is located in the heart of the Kanifing institutional area and 10 minutes drive away from Banjul. Taft Twins is designed to have 5 floors of office spaces ranging from 50 square meters to over 1,000 square meters with 2 elevators, air conditioning, 24 hours electricity and water supply, with the ground floor reserved for banking, supermarket, restaurant and coffee shop. For your bookings and reservations, please call now on 376-2333 or 776-2333. Thank you.
Welcome back. This is Eyeafrica TV from the Gambia, and you are watching the World Today News Bulletin, coming to you live from our studios. And let's now look at the rest of the stories. Now, despite several efforts to restore peace and stability in DR Congo, the United Nations is reporting of an escalation of violence in the eastern part of the country. Now, the long-standing conflict in the affected areas left citizens in a worrying situation, with many expressing their frustration over the prolonged conflict. UN rather experts have revealed that Rwanda is backing the rebels in DRC, but such allegations have been continuously refuted by the Rwandan authorities. Here's more details of that in this report.
Since 2021, violence has increased in 2 provinces in eastern DRC. Thousands of people in North Kivu and Ituri provinces have been forced to flee their homes amid fighting involving rebels of the M23 movement, the ADF, and Codeco militia.
We never know when they will come. We just get surprised to see them killing or locking people in houses and burning them down. Recently, they burnt school children in Jalasiga. All of them died, just like that.
The DRC government declared martial law in 2021 and authorized troops from the East African Community Regional Bloc to help restore peace. But the violence has continued.
I don't think a small militia group like Codeco or M23 can resist a government army or troops from neighbouring countries for so many months. I have the impression that those soldiers from the region have been distracted from their original mission by the mineral wealth they have seen in the east.
A report by UN experts says there's evidence that the Rwandan army has provided support to the M23 rebels. The US, France, Germany, and the European Union have called on Rwanda to stop. But Rwanda has denied the charge and accused the Congolese government of supporting a militia of ethnic Hutus to destabilize its country. The DRC government has dismissed the allegations and called on the UN to impose sanctions against Rwanda. That stance is supported by many Congolese.
We are losing a lot in this conflict, and there are no sanctions for the country that is supporting the M23 rebels. Congo wants this war to stop.
The M23 rebels say they are fighting for the rights of the Tutsi community in eastern DRC. They recently withdrew from one of the territories they captured and promised to pull out of other areas this year. There are fears that the accusations and counter-accusations by authorities in the DRC and Rwanda may undermine regional efforts to restore peace. Although a ceasefire was brokered last year, fighting has continued in North Kivu province due to mistrust between the warring parties.
From the east, let's end this news bulletin, of course, to the northern part of the continent, because Egyptian authorities are initiating measures to expand their gas production and exports to the global market. The North African nation is currently increasing its gas exports to Europe thanks to the standoff between Russia and the West amid Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The government is expecting to earn more income on its expanded gas export initiatives. Let's have more details of that in this report.
Natural gas is a major source of hard currency for the North African nation. Egypt produces 70 billion cubic meters annually of natural gas. Local consumption is 62 billion cubic meters, and gas exports are worth $8 billion annually. Authorities in Cairo are keen to increase gas exports to benefit from the hike in prices and huge demand from Europe after a standoff with Russia.
We have reopened our LNG terminals and resumed production. It is our plan to reach full capacity from the two terminals through more exploration and production to increase exports. Global demand for gas will continue and even increase in the next few years.
And the relevant infrastructure is being put in place to keep up with demand.
The Edku LNG plant produces 7.5 million tons a year, and Damietta plant produces 5 million tons per year of LNG. In 2021, we exported 8 million tons to Europe, Asia, Jordan, and Lebanon. We have the ability to increase production from 8 to 12 million tons.
Egypt also signed agreements with Israel and Greece to liquefy their gas and transport it to Europe. But authorities are taking other measures too. They're cutting back on local consumption of natural gas and storing the surplus for exports. Over 60% of local gas consumption is used to generate electricity, and the government wants to reduce this amount.
The government has ordered that power stations be run by Mesut instead of natural gas. Secondly, it is reducing electricity consumption by, for instance, switching off some streetlights and electricity in public and state-owned institutions at night. The 15% we will save will go for exports.
Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli expects this strategy will garner over $5 billion in extra revenue, which is essential for Egypt's stricken economy.
And that energy-related report from the Egyptian capital, Cairo, eventually bring us to the end of this news edition. But for more details on this and other stories, as always, as ever, you can visit on our website on Eyeafrica.tv. But for now, many thanks for the privilege of your company. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and to have a pleasant evening. Bye for now.